If it's a top of funnel single touch lead, we know that's going to have to go on a much longer term nurture kind of drip. Whereas if, for example, as Maddie touched on, the kind of the nurture on the Headley side has been more around multiple downloads, multiple questions answered, there might be intent data layered in. If we see those triggers in the lead delivery, then it will adapt what the nurture should be. And then maybe we could go to a slightly accelerated approach where maybe we do go into that kind of middle funnel and ROI kind of, or whatever content it might be earlier. But it is just all about, we can't have that one size fits all of every single content syndication lead goes through exactly the same process. We would want to have a look at different entry points and different ways of nurturing dependent on the data points we'd receive from, our partners such as Headley Media.
That's definitely music to our ears over at Headley, because you can sometimes sense that when a campaign's being built out, the kind of enhancements, the data that's being downloaded, whether that's 2 touches, or you mentioned, Conor, the questions, it can sort of sometimes feel like those signals are being gathered, but what is being done with them next? So when you run a slightly more qualified campaign, content syndication campaign, those key signals were how they've answered questions, what they've chosen to download. We hear anecdotally, and from our clients and clients that we share with, we hear that the success is when you and the team have really channeled into those signals that we're delivering, whether that's kind of intent questions. The idea, I really like what you said there about not the idea that every content syndication lead is not going to go on the exact same journey. If that was the case, then there wouldn't be too much point gathering the kind of signals when we're doing those more qualified campaigns. So that's definitely really positive. I like that.
If we've got those data points as pieces of information, those little bits of intel that we can use to kind of shape and tailor our follow-up, if that means they've answered a given question, like they've downloaded a given piece of content, there's, within our nurture and, CRMs, automation systems, there's triggers that we can pull dynamic content insert based on, this different answer, this different piece downloaded. That allows us to again tailor the experience and make it much more relevant, which again, you're hoping will be then reflected in opens, clicks, engagement. So then by the time it goes through to sales teams, it just gives it that bit more chance of success. And I think also is really important is, although we've got all those different levers we can pull on, going back to one of the things we said right at the start around expectations around content syndication, even if we do layer all those additional touch points in, we'd still be reticent to go to a, guaranteed X amount of pipeline off the back of this, straight off the bat, because we still do need to do that nurturing piece and all those different questions, multiple downloads, etc. Although it does represent a higher quality lead, it does also kind of align with where buying patterns and behaviors are going.